Welcome to episode 34. Is modesty good? Please be sure closed captioning is showing off so you better follow what I'm saying. Does that make sense? No. Closed captioning has to be showing on. Plus, showing off turns me off, not on. It's like I like creative celebrations that are expressions of joy that people show after, say, scoring a goal or touchdown or winning an Olympic medal. But I don't like celebrations aimed at showing up your opponent. I know it's a fine line, but it has to do with whether there is modesty in a celebration. Internal joke. So if a self-centered person like me is always pushing exclusively what he or she likes or don't like in your face, would you consider that to be a modest person? The thing is with modesty versus what's not modesty, we sort of know it when we see it. You could say that's sort of how we know good versus what's not good, right? So is that sort of like equating modesty to good? Well, in my philosophy of life, good is not relative because too much of anything harms you or results in you harming the earth. If you want to talk about the big ones, too much power or too little power, too much sex or or lack of sex, too much beauty or too little beauty, too much poverty or too much wealth. What about too much good versus too little good? Internal joke. Did you see me dance good away from bad and ugly? Getting back to what I was saying, let me explain the too much concept as it applies to this earth we live on. The power one is easy. Too much power corrupts, and too little leaves you vulnerable. With sex, at some level, too much or too little is not healthy for your body. For details, Google it. If you're too ugly, it harms you mentally and it negatively affects how some people view you. If you're too beautiful, it harms you mentally and it negatively affects how some people view you. Yes, it does, you vain, conceited Barbie doll. We all know how too much poverty harms people, but too much wealth, internal joke, a little too much poverty. How does one define too much poverty? Uh, how does too much wealth hurt you? That's the question. Internal joke. The really deep one, not subject to Google. Too much wealth harms people because on some level they don't know or they forget what it's like to desire necessary stuff that they cannot afford. The wealthier you get, the less you get to experience a feeling of desire, hopeless, or desperate, or crazy, or greedy desire for something whose attainment is constrained by your financial means. And with each bit of that feeling of constrained desire that you lose, you also lose a little bit of your humanity. Meaning, you lose a little bit each time empathy for those who are still experiencing feelings of constrained desire in frequent or endless quantities. Of course, there are people who don't consider losing empathy or humanity to be a harm to anyone, much less to themselves. We actually know some of these people. The earth knows a lot more. The earth cringes at the actions of some of her most wealthy inhabitants as they strive for more and more wealth and power at the expense of others and of the earth. So does that mean too much wealth is not good because it harms you and good remains not relative? How about modesty? Internal joke. Too little is a little too shy of a little for me. Just like with power or sex or beauty or wealth, with modesty, you don't want too little and you don't want too much. But under the rationale I gave in episode 6 and 15, I'll take an earth filled with only good people, people doing only good, too much good, over one filled with bad people each and every time.